Hello. To those who've never seen my videos before, welcome. To those who have, welcome back. As always, I like to start off with the disclaimer. Not a doctor, not a lawyer, certainly not a money man. No question there. And if you're looking for any advice, you won't find it here. So, shrug off. Why do I say this? Because I'm nobody to you. And with that, my subject today, Russia. Ooh, the world's villain, Russia. Yeah, that's right. So, what about Russia? Well, first of all, why are we enemies? Don't get me wrong, I understand that whole, the American way and the communist way. Not systems that get along well, governmentally speaking. They have their way of ruling their people. We have our way of ruling our people, which nowadays our government does rule us without question. Generally speaking, I don't like their way of rule. I like how we're supposed to be governed instead of ruled. But at the same time, I mean, the communist system is just, it's a terrible system. It is. We won't go into that. That's not what this is about. Generally speaking, this is about what did they ever do to us? I don't know of any Russians ever attacking American targets per se. I think in the 70s were instances of some jets that were maybe taken down by the Russians. Other than that, I mean, I really can't say any of the American assets militarily have ever been directly attacked. Now, have they spied on us? Well, of course we've spied on them. We spy on every nation, and every nation spies on us. That's a whole nother story another day. But other than the spying on us, well, why are we enemies? Well, we hear it's because, generally speaking, they want to do things in the world that we disagree with. Taking over another nation. And, okay, I can understand that, one nation shouldn't take over another nation. I mean, whose right is that? No, it's also time immortal that's happened, and it's all about resources. It's about what I have and what I need versus what you have and what you need. And we go to war to obtain what we need. And generally, resources like land and minerals and trees and things of that nature, even water, various reasons of that sort. So, as much as war is a bad thing, it's so common, it's kind of a natural effect of the human species. You know what I mean? Even the American Indians warred amongst themselves viciously. They would wipe out entire tribes. So war is kind of a natural thing. So, okay, well, Russia threatens Europe. I can't remember the last time, and I've watched the news closely since I was a kid. So you're talking about what, from, let's say the early 70s, to be fair, till today. I've still never seen any evidence where Russia has said, we're going to go in and take this land in Europe. Just the opposite, really. I remember when I was a kid, there were two Germanys. There was the Free Germany and then the Russian-controlled Germany. Generally speaking, in the 80s, that was resolved. Poland, back in the day, had their issues with Russia. That's been resolved. Don't remember hearing Russia saying, yeah, we're going to come back, take that back. The various Slavic nations, which pretty much were part of Russia or the Russian Caucasus and whatnot, Um, that's kind of not really Europe per se. That goes into the not Europe, Asia part, where that transition is. Much like the Afghanistans and stuff like that, that whole Middle East, which is actually Northwest Asia. It's not really Middle East. It's not the middle of anything, really. If you look at it geographically, it's way off on one side of Asia, and there you go. So, and it is Asian. If you come from Afghanistan, you're Asian. Middle Eastern is just the name they made because Asia's so freaking huge. And honestly, even with Russia and land, let's see, I think there was something back in the day. It may have been pre-World War, may have been post-World War, where they were going after Japan. They wanted some of the northern Japanese islands because they believed they were theirs. Okay. Even America had issue back in the, what was it? Mid-1800s? Over in the Alaska area, down into Washington, and I believe possibly even to California region, where Russia owned land, but hey, we made a deal or whatever happened and we got it and everything's been cool for years. So why are we enemies again with Russia? Are they damaging our economy somehow? No, we're screwing that all up on our own. Are they destroying anything of ours? I mean, physically speaking, no. Now, at the same time, let's go into this whole Ukraine thing a little bit. The steppe lands. The lands where Caucasian came from. Yes, the Caucasus. Okay? That's, when you say Caucasian, you're talking about people who come from that region. Okay? A lot of people don't realize that. That area's been at war forever. Ukraine was not always Ukraine. Matter of fact, it hasn't been that long in world history that Ukraine is Ukraine. Matter of fact, America is a much older nation than Ukraine is, as Ukraine sits as a whole. Okay, now there were different aspects of it, but we've all heard of Dracula, right? He came from Wallachia, or however you say that. I don't speak any of their dialects, so I don't know how to enunciate their words correctly. But the land where Dracula came from, you know what that is now? Ukraine. It wasn't Ukraine back in the days of Vladimir Tepes. The original Dracula, Vlad the Impaler. No. Matter of fact, a bit of that was Hungary. Not like appetite. I know there's got to be a wise ass amongst you, so probably family. But anyhow, that was part of Hungary. And I think there were even maybe parts of that were of the Polish thing. And just, Europe itself has always been a boiling pot of nations coming and going in that area. And the truth is Russia, not Russia as we know it today, Union of Soviet Socialist States, USSR. Oh, republics, that's it. Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, or Socialist Soviet Republics, one or the other. But as I was a youth, that's what it was. Okay, and basically it was a number of nations who were gathered under one banner and ruled by one general group of political figures, so to speak. Sure, they had their czars and stuff, but this is a little after that. But generally speaking, that was all considered part of Russia. Post-World War II, we said we wouldn't meddle in that general area. We wouldn't go beyond what was considered Europe. Now, of course, we've gone well beyond that, and we're on Russia's door. Now, okay, Russia did that stupid thing with the missiles in Cuba, and Kennedy set them straight. Did a good job there. I think he really did. Basically put the smackdown on them, said, you know what? Keep this crap up and you're going to get it. And this scary Russia that we look at as though they're our big enemy, dude, they backed off. Why? Because when it comes down to it, don't mess with us when we get pissed. Okay? We're probably one of the better pissed off nations as far as fighting goes. You know what I mean? We really put our hearts into it, and we put our faith into it, we become pretty powerful. Now, generally speaking now, we bumped heads in World War II with Russia. It had more to do with the Germany thing and them trying to increase their power. Well, we were able to back them down, and that actually worked well for Europe. But at the same time, we, generally speaking, weren't allies or enemies because they have no power over us. They're on the other side of the earth. Their economics have always been shit compared to ours, and even from almost the very beginning of America. And we really have nothing to fear from them. Okay, the whole nuclear thing, you know, they can reach us with nuclear weapons. Even with that, they know better. Okay, because there will be no Russia. There may not be much of an America left, but there will be no Russia. Okay? I think China has that comfortable respect as well. But, rolling out, brother. And we catch you next weekend. But generally speaking, Russia, I can understand them not being our friend. But not being our friends does not mean you must be our enemies. Now, okay, right now they got the thing going on in Ukraine, and much like the French with us, we're supporting Ukraine in this war. I'm actually okay with that to a certain degree. It's the lack of accountability that I have an issue with. All right? Yes, we're sending them things, but dude, we're paying for their entire government to survive and run. France didn't pay for our government to survive and run. Our leaders lost their farms, lost family members to fight for our freedom. Even though we had France on our side, to some degree Germany wasn't getting in it, and that was their way of helping. Well, I don't know how you want to look at that. But anyhow, we really seem to be making this war, us and Russia, a lot more than Ukraine and Russia. Generally speaking, I would be okay if we just said, yes, we're going to show them military support by providing them munitions and skilled tacticians to assist. Boots on the ground, mercenaries. I'm okay if we have a bunch of American mercenaries over there fighting. I'm fine with that, because that's contract. That's not under the hand of the government, more or less. That one I kind of have to think about how I look at. But still, so enemy of America is Russia. You see it in every movie, every TV series, and don't get me wrong, they'll throw some Middle Eastern bad guys, South and Central American cartel guys. But when it comes to it, if you went through all the media that's being pumped out, whether it be TV, radio, or whatever, movies, Russia is our big enemy. And honestly, right now, they're not hurting us in the least. Now, the truth is China, who we created basically as the modern nation that they are, and took them out of the Stone Age, has thanked us by becoming worse than a competitor. All right, now a competitor just competes, like as in business or in sports, but they want to take us out as far as a competitor and want to be the only sole superpower or mega producing company and country and stuff like that, and do some pretty nasty stuff. Now, at the same time, I don't think that makes them an enemy, adversary. Okay, I'll go for that. But we don't consider Russia an adversary. We consider him an enemy. And honestly, we sit here and we talk about world peace, this and that. Where's our leaders? Sitting down with these foreign leaders going, hey, look, brother, as much as you got your thing going on in your country and we got our thing going on in our country, how can we get along? And how can we persuade you in a good way to change your ways, to basically stop killing people and, your own people and whatnot? We know about the people that died in Russia courtesy of communism, people that died in China courtesy of communism, people who died in Korea. I mean, there's, even friggin' Castro, everybody looked at him as a hero. Tons of people died under his reign. So generally speaking, though, I'm not a, what do they call that, isolationist. All right, it's a big world, but I look at that as a neighborhood. Now, I don't have to deal with the people on the other side of my neighborhood. So generally speaking, whatever they do is not going to affect me. So I'm okay with that. Now, at the same time, as we've tried to become more global, I think we've, maybe bad way to put it on YouTube, but shot ourselves in the foot. We have become reliant on certain areas that can be greatly affected by what are generally modest skirmishes as far as worlds and war. Okay, our world and wars. Okay. And don't get me wrong, blah, blah, blah. Everybody says every life matters. You know how I feel about that. But generally speaking, I don't want to see war. I don't want any war to happen because I'm just not a big fan of it. But at the same time, other than the help and stuff, I mean, we're sitting there talking about how, oh yeah, after he's done with Ukraine, he's going to go into Poland. Really? Really? Where was that mentioned? When has that been commented on? He wants to take back Ukraine. Generally speaking, no, they didn't want to take back Ukraine. They wanted access to the sea to be able to export their goods. But because of Ukraine claiming, okay, because that's always been a disputed region, I believe it's called the Donbass area, we see war. Generally speaking, it wouldn't have been a bad idea if maybe they would have said, hey, I tell you what, we understand you need to get to the ports, you need to get to the seas to be able to have commerce in this global system that we have. We'll do what, what do they call those, not treaties, but basically contracts between nations that are for business. Compacts. No? God, there's a term for it I can't remember. I'm terrible like that. But generally speaking, yeah, no, we've decided, no, you can't have that land. That's not your sea to be able to go into. And yeah, that makes them think, well, who are you? F off, blah, blah, blah. And there you go, we're in Ukraine. Now, it's more detailed than that, it always is. But we're boiling things down to the simple parts of life. Most people you talk to couldn't give a crap about Ukraine and know nothing about it. The few people I've known who know stuff about it, been there, it's a terrible place. They're just without ambition. Their crime level is through the roof. I mean, it's just, yeah, you know what I mean? Ukraine was never a good place. Damn sure never a democracy. Now, generally speaking, you know how I feel about democracies as well. But generally speaking, they say it was a better place under Russian rule. And how crazy is that to hear, right? Ukraine was a decent place under Russian rule. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand Russian rule, yada, 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 but that was their system. It actually worked for Ukraine back then. Now we have all these people dying. And I mean, dude, what are we up to, like 1 million between the two sides together? And we're blowing money unaccounted for on most occasions. Okay? Just pouring it into Ukraine because these people are our enemies? Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I think we kind of need to change that mindset and say, okay, you ain't our friend, but that don't make you our enemy. And I think if we start taking on a mindset like that, we could sort out a lot of that. All right, well, I got to be pretty close to time to swap out my laundry again. And it's just the way things have been. I'll get back to my normal spot here before too long. But generally speaking, is Russia our enemy? Well, that's it for me, guys. So, as I always say, and I mean truly, I appreciate those who've taken the time to listen to this, because your time is one thing you'll never get back, and it makes it one of the most valuable things you have. So thank you. And with that, if you enjoyed it, or you want to share it, or you agree with it, click like. And honestly, if you want to hear more of what I'm spewing out, going on about, click the subscribe, and maybe even hit the notification bell thing. Well, with that, it's time for me to get on with the getting on, so I'll talk to you later. Thanks.